tonight, I intend to get the transmission pan torqued back into place. I have it sitting there with all the bolts sitting there, but I needed to borrow a torque wrench. So I have a torque wrench. I'm going to get under the car and try to get that torqued up so that I can hopefully get new transmission fluid in it, change the oil, put new coolant in it, and lofty goal of getting it started this weekend. So working on the transmission pan tonight. I'll do my best to give you some views of what's going on here, but this is the transmission pan that was on here. I got it all cleaned up. Like I said, I got all these bolts in here kind of just hand tightened. This might be kind of hard to see. Let me get a light on this. Okay, here we go. So these two bolts here hold the transmission in place. And I can't say that this is a best recommendation, but what I've done is I have another jack. I get it as close to this as I can. And then I'm able to just lift this about maybe a half an inch or an inch with the jack. And that gives me enough clearance to get in through here and tighten these 3 or 4 bolts that are behind this cross member. So I'll get that other jack here, jack this up a little bit, and get these all tightened down and torqued to about 10 foot-pounds. Just wanted to take this opportunity to point out this is the same process that I followed to remove the pan in the first place so that I could replace the gasket. So very little clearance under the car, so I'm jacking it up very slowly. Also wanting to make sure that it's hitting where I want it to on the transmission, and going just as far as I need to and not any further because I don't want to stress it any more than necessary. So once I get this all up in place, gives me the clearance, and I'll go through the process of tightening all the bolts. But this process would be exactly the same, just reversed if you were trying to get the pan off. I have this half-inch deep socket that I ground down to give me a little bit more clearance working in that tight space. As I'm going through and tightening these and torquing them down to 10 foot-pounds, just making sure I'm going in a crisscross pattern and not just tightening all of them on one side, because I want to get it tightened as evenly as possible to reduce the chance for any leaks. Also wanted to point out that what I was reading was saying if you over tighten it, it can actually cause it to leak. So that's why I'm using the torque wrench and making sure to get them as close as I can to recommended torque. Some of the information I was reading said 8.5 foot-pounds, so I chose to do 10. The torque wrench I think is not perfect. It's not a super expensive torque wrench, so we're in the ballpark, and that's what I'm doing here, is just going and torquing them in that crisscross pattern. And then at the end I went around and did them all in a circle just to make sure every one of them was tight, and I got each one of them. Okay, gonna lower this back of the transmission back down slowly. So while I was down here working on the transmission pan, I noticed this guy right here is just kind of loose coming off the back of the transmission, and it's just like looks like maybe a probe of some kind. I don't know if it's a thermometer or what, but there's a gasket here, it seems like, that is just wasted away, and this is just sitting here. So before I add more transmission fluid into this. I'm gonna have to figure out what this is and get this replaced as well. And then hopefully we'll be good to go. So here's my next project before I get the fluid added and try to get started up again. So upon further inspection, it looks like that cable goes up into the engine bay and into the dash and then into the cluster. I think that's the speedometer. I'm not sure. Could be something else, but it feels like it's going in right in behind where the speedometer is. That rubber kind of gasket that was around the edge, I think that was maybe something that was added, that someone tried to seal that with, because it was a threaded piece at the end and it was cracked and it just pulled apart after I pulled that gasket off. So I'm gonna go do a little research, but thinking I'm gonna have to at least get that replaced, because it seems like that's where it was leaking transmission fluid. So I at least know the gasket on the transmission pan is good now. Gonna go to the next thing, replace that because I see it now, and then hopefully it will hold transmission fluid and be drivable here once I get that fixed.